With over 75 new releases watched this year, I have narrowed it down to my top 15. So, let's check it out. Goodbye, 2024. Hello, 2025. You feel about the same. This year, I watched 78 films that were released either in theaters or via streaming that were new releases for this year, and I've narrowed it down to my typical year-to-year top 15. So let's get people upset. Let's get people excited about what my top 15 films of 2024 were. Number 15, Love Lies Bleeding, a story that is a revenge love story that is as chaotic as it is artsy. Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien put on brilliant performances to nail this film home, while Rose Glass directs a beautiful masterpiece. This film intrigued me ever since I heard about the premise. I was excited, and when it finally popped up on Max, I was a day one watcher, and safe to say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Overall, I gave Love Lies Bleeding got a 4 out of 5 stars, earning it its 15th place this year. Number 14, get your smiles out because Smile 2 cracks my top 15 at number 14. Parker Finn returns with this IP in a brilliant way. The stakes are bigger and the performances are better because Naomi Scott is dynamite. The film is carried by her brilliant performance from start to finish, no questions asked. That was the talking point of this film after it was released, and it surely does make for a great watch. It's horrifying, it's scary, the shots are beautiful. I really enjoyed this film. It got a 4 out of 5 stars, earning it its 14th place. Number 13, well, this surely was a divisive film. Civil War. I love Alex Garland, and he put on a brilliant piece of work onto the theater's screens this year, and I enjoyed it. The intensity, the tense moments that are throughout the film just embedded deep within it, the iconic imagery, the beautiful cinematography, as well as the questions that this film brings. Of course, I can't talk about this film without talking about Kristen Dunst, Wagner Moura, and Kaylee Spaney as the trio that is the leads within this film because they're all brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed this film from start to finish and have seen it a few times since its release. And with my rewatches, yeah, I still enjoy it a lot. So that's why I gave Civil War a 4 out of 5, earning it its 13th place. Number 12. It is time for the almost perfection run of this list because we go in with Dee Dee. Sean Wang puts on a brilliant piece of work here. This is a film that I watched a part of my last week race to 2024. Every year I watch a bunch of films that I've heard about, that I've waited for, that I have the time to watch, and this was one of them. This film transported me. I grew up during this time, so of course it was very nice to see a coming of age story not only done correctly, but done with so much love and passion. Now, I can't say to the whole Asian American upbringing, I can't say anything about that, but what I can say is as a kid who grew up on YouTube as someone when YouTube first started, yeah, this movie makes a lot of sense. It's funny, it's quippy, it's entertaining, and it's emotional. I absolutely loved it, and that's why I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, earning it its 12th place. Number 11 is a film in which I did not anticipate to be on the top 15. I did anticipate it to be good, just not this good. It's, of course, John M. Chu's Wicked Part 1. I fell in love with this story. I grew up with Wizard of Oz, and the fact that this film kind of transports you back and gives you a different perspective and a multiverse kind of this what is and could have happened as the backstory is very interesting. Of course, I'm not saying in the prototypical multiverse, it's just the way my brain kind of connects things at this point. Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande are absolutely brilliant in this film, from their singing to just their acting. That's why I gave Wicked a 4.5 out of 5 stars and the 11th place. Number 10 is a film done by one of my favorite directors working today, Sean Baker's Anora. From Mikey Madsen's absolutely stunning, stellar, potential Oscar nomination performance, to the brilliant, beautiful cinematography, to the intense, realistic writing, to the absolute brilliant score that is interlaid within the actual film. This film is great from start to finish. Sean Baker is good with taking a fantasy-like idea, like Cinderella, for instance, and turning it into this realistic look at life, and he does this brilliantly. I love his films. I can't wait for more of his stuff to come out, because I'll watch it, because I love it, and I'll watch it day one, just like I watched Anora day one as soon as it came out, and that's why Anora got a 4.5 out of 5 stars, earning it its 10th placement. Number 9 is a surprise, because I did not expect to have Edward Berger's Conclave in my top 10. This film is brilliant. The acting is just Oscar worthy from top to bottom. Ralph Fiennes, brilliant. Stanley Tucci, guess what? Brilliant. John Lithgow, brilliant. The cinematography, some of my favorite of this year. I went in with zero expectations and walked out a very, very happy cinema goer. If I did an award-like show, this would definitely be a nomination for my most surprising film of the year. I think after it was released a few days afterwards, a lot more people were talking about how brilliant this film was and how the screenwriting was quick, it was brilliant, and it was smart, and it was thought-provoking, and I think it got a lot of recognition from the cinema community. And that's why Conclave got a 4.5 out of 5 stars, including its 9th placement. Number 8 is also a film that probably would have been nominated for most surprising film of the year. It is Adam Raymeyer's Snack Shack. I love a good coming-of-age story, as I talked about with Dee Dee. Now, of course, this is not something I can relate to in terms of living during this era, but I can relate to it as a great story about friendship, heartbreak, and absolute insanity. Connor Sherry is great, but it's Gabriel LaBelle who is emerging as one of my favorite young actors today. This film is so fun, yet so devastating, and just brilliant all ways around. When it popped up on Amazon Prime, and when I hit play, and when the credits started rolling, I was amazed. I could tell you what I had for lunch while watching this film because of how memorable this film was for me. And that's why Snack Shack got a 4.5 out of 5 stars, including its 8th placement on my list. Lucky number 7 is a film in which I was so happy to see and so devastated that you probably didn't see it. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. George Miller is iconic. The imagery, iconic. Anya Taylor-Joy, iconic. Chris Hemsworth as Dementus sinks into his role, iconic. The action set pieces, iconic. This whole film is straight up iconic. I like this more than Fury Road, and I can easily say that. Fury Road is a brilliant action film. If you just want to watch an action film, Furiosa is a great action film with a great story. A great revenge story that adds depthness and deepness to this wasteland, and I absolutely loved it. And that is why Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, got 4.5 out of 5 stars and the 7th placement on my list. Number 6 is Challengers, a brilliant script with a giant, great piece of editing master work that shows this film and this story taking place in a non-linear fashion. And as long as it works, I enjoy nonlinear storytelling. The straight up tennis match of this film, overlaying the relationship between the three, is just amazing. Zendaya, it's her best role ever. Honestly, I don't know how she can top this, but I will say I do believe she can one day because she's still so young. Screenwriting, the cinematography, the editing, the sound design, everything in this film is just so brilliant. I love this film. I've seen it a few times already, and each time I enjoy it just a bit more because of how beautiful and masterful everything is. And that's why Challengers got a 4.5 out of 5 stars and the 6th placement on my list. Top 5 time, because now it gets into elite company, the 5 movies I feel were the best. If someone were to say, hey, 5 movies from 2024, what do you recommend? Here is the list. So, number 5 is the winner of Most Surprising Film of the Year, JT Molnar's Strange Darling. I told everyone that I knew after I walked out of the theater, go see this movie. I said it because it's brilliant. The nonlinear fashion of this film makes sense. There were a few films that told nonlinear stories and it totally fell off and felt just incomplete and nonsensical of why you would choose to go that route. This film, however, takes it a step further and makes it all about it. The cinematography is genius. The sound design, genius. The story pacing is just fast moving and doesn't hold back. Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner are brilliant in this film. They both play super well together. They are just chemistry at a million because of how well their scenes are and how compatible they are on screen. And this film only runs in at like 90 minutes, 95 minutes. It's super short, super easy to watch, and that's why Strange Darling got a 4.5 out of 5 stars and the 5th placement on my list. Number 4. Well, if I haven't upset you already, I'm going to now, because this is a film that is easily the most divisive film of the year, regardless of what I said earlier. This film is so divisive that on Letterboxd, this thing is pretty even with what people think about it, and that is Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis. I know. A lot of people didn't like it. They thought the acting was cheesy, the screenwriting was lazy, and that the cinematography and the CGI were absolutely atrocious, and it should be thrown into a garbage bin. And that Francis Ford Coppola has lost his mind, lost his marbles, and lost his talent. And I say nay, nah, because this film is a masterful piece of art. I think about this every other day. From all of its performances of Adam Driver, Audrey Plaza, Giancarlo Esposito, Shia LaBeouf, Jon Voight, Lawrence Fishburne, Natalie Emmanuel, all of these performances are just absolutely insane for what it's worth. Yes, it's cheesy. Yes, it is. But guess what New Rome is? It's this oversaturated, over-marketized, over-broadened world that, well, people are just acting funky. It's cinema. It transported me into a new world, and I loved it. If this is Francis Ford Coppola's last film, I can say he went out with a bang. He pissed a lot of people off, but he also made a lot of people love it and respect him even more. This is a film that lost a bunch of money, but I don't care because Megalopolis is great. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, including its 4th placement on my top 15 list. Number 3. First off, I don't do this very often. What am I talking about? That's 5-star films. I don't give out 5-star films very easily. On my Letterboxd, I have less than 20 films I've rated at 5 stars, with about 1,500 reviews within my Letterboxd account. The percentage is so tiny, and this year I had 3 films that I thought were downright perfect. Starting with Saturday Night. Did I talk about Gabriel LaBelle? Yeah, he's in this film. He's the lead, And Lorne Michaels is a genius, even though I don't watch Saturday Night. Jason Reitman directs a beautiful piece of fast-paced work. From start to finish, this film is about the 90 minutes before the first airing of this first episode of Saturday Night Live ever that, changed everything. It changed the career trajectories of those involved, and it changed cable. This film about following your passions, going for your dreams, no matter what, no holds barred. It's funny, it's quippy, and it's brilliant. Every performance is fantastic. The sound design is perfect. The cinematography, active following camera for a lot of the film. It's quick, it's crazy. The story just doesn't let up. I love this film so much. This film is brilliant. That's why I gave it a 5 out of 5 and the third place on my list. Number two, well, it is a part 2. Dune Part 2. Denis Villeneuve is either 1A/1B as my favorite directors working today. He knows how to do big budget and small budget and medium budget perfectly. He gets the performances he wants out of these actors. He gets the visual style that he wants out of his cinematographer. He gets the script he wants with his writing partner. He gets the costumes he wants from his costume design team. He gets the set design from his set design team perfect. All these things perfect. They mishmashed perfect. It's all perfect. This film came out so early in the year that I knew it would hold tight to that number 1 spot for pretty much the whole year. I have no complaints about this film. I have seen it almost 10 times. I love this film. I'm just upset that Warner Brothers didn't say, yeah, we're doing Dune Messiah right after this came out. Greenlight it. Greenlight anything Denis Villeneuve wants to do. Please. Thank you. This film got a 5 out of 5 as well as the number 2 placement on my list. Number one, you snuck out a victory at the end. You came out of nowhere, maybe even the shadows. Number 1 goes to Nosferatu. I talked about 1A, 1B. Well, this is the other 1A, 1B, Robert Eggers. I don't hate any of his films. The Witch, The Lighthouse, Northman, as well as Nosferatu are brilliant. I'd waited almost 10 years for this film, and I'm glad I'm not disappointed. Everyone is just on their game when it comes to the acting. Dafoe, Skarsgård, Rose Depp, Holt, Taylor Johnson, all of these people are absolutely brilliant. The set design, the costumes suck you into this dark gothic world. The sound design, brilliant. Skarsgård, can I talk about how he is a fantastic Orlok and that he's just now going to be typecast as, hey, you want a creepy villain who wears prosthetics? Get Bill Skarsgård. He's great. Everything about this film made me fall in love with the world it was set in. The dark, disgusting world, the themes that this film brought upon, and the story is just so brilliant. So that is why Nosferatu got 5 out of 5 stars, including the number 1 placement. Make sure to also leave your top 15 list down below, and I can't wait to see what cinema has for us in 2025.